Okay, hi there. Thank you all for joining us. We are here to talk about the European mindset as they think about and expand their brand, their club setup, their academies, and really as they focus on the American market. And I think that's no strange topic for what we've all been talking about here today. And this is sort of an explanation of how these well-established clubs, European clubs, think about their rights, their offering, their fan-first perspective, and how they want to entertain, engage, and ultimately cultivate a fandom here in the United States. So joining me today, we have Max from Dortmund. We've got Dee from FC Barcelona. I'm sorry, Dee from Bayern Munich. That's the first one I messed up. There we go. Carlos from FC Barcelona, and Jürgen from Sport Pulse, who's representing Everton. So with that, Dee, because of the foothold, the marketing foothold that Bayern has had in the United States, and I think as we want to go ahead and say the first European club to really put marketing roots in the US, just love to hear your perspective as Bayern thinks about the US, but also how they're thinking about their global footprint.
Yeah, I think FC Bayern as a club is particularly special. I would like to say that we were the first big European club to set up in the United States with a marketing-led initiative. Our board had the foresight to know that this market, you needed to really kind of lay some groundwork, build some brand awareness, etc., and build knowledge of soccer. Since we opened in 2014 in New York to service the Americas, we've since opened another office in Shanghai in 2017, and this April our Bangkok office will officially open. So it's a great commitment to our fans across the world, how we service them. Also, being in the market makes such a difference. You know, we could do this from Germany. It's not the same. You don't get the same feeling for the market. You don't pick up the same knowledge. It would be wrong for clubs to assume that you know everything about the market and work from Germany. So you have to be there and on the ground.
That's great. And then, you know, some of the things you've done these big partnerships sort of that are really focused in on the soccer community. But you've also done some really great things outside of that, where you think about the larger world of just sports fans in general. And most recently, we saw the partnership with the NFL. And then content-wise, you've been doing some stuff with them. So maybe you could just talk a little bit how that came together and what is the mindset there with that partnership with the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that we have over 130 million fans in the Americas alone. We know we have a great fan base. So for us, it was about how are we going to reach a new audience? How are we going to create a new fan base in terms of adding and growing to what we have existingly? So the partnership with the NFL kind of started with they're trying to grow in Europe, we're trying to grow in the US. So how can we collaborate to reach each other's audiences? So we started with content very basically, then we started with getting players over to Munich. So we had Odell Beckham Jr. go over, for example. We always knew that we wanted to get to an endpoint where the NFL would play a regular season game in Munich at the Allianz Arena. We didn't anticipate it would come so soon. So we're delighted that we're going to be able to host an NFL game at the end of this year. The Bucs are confirmed as the home team, so we'll have Tom Brady in Munich at the Allianz Arena, and then the away team's yet to be confirmed, so we're really excited.
That's great. Awesome. Max, being part of Sport 5, talk to us a little bit about how you're thinking about the setup of Dortmund here and the values you're trying to bring from the Dortmund club to the US and how you're thinking about that fan experience for them.
Well, I have to go back to, I think it was 2018, 2019, when we came to the US for the first time for our summer tour, when Christian Pulisic was still on our roster. And that was the time when we decided to come to the US. And I totally agree with Dee here that you have to be on site to feel the culture and how the US soccer landscape actually works. So then COVID came actually in 2020, and it challenged us in so many ways that Borussia Dortmund as a club itself was not able to launch a legal entity here and was not able to launch an office here. So we as Sport 5 said, okay, then let's support BVB as the exclusive agency on an international level and send over some Sport 5 employees to the US. And I think what we saw over the last 10 to 15 years in terms of our image and our brand image on a national landscape, on an international landscape, was that we are more of a challenger, and that is our approach. And we think that this whole challenger approach, to be the underdog, so we don't have to be the German champion every single year, we want to become that, and that this whole underdog picture works very well in the US, especially among soccer fans.
So when you talk about being that challenger, that underdog, in creating that narrative, how are you actually going into the market with that? Like what is the touch points that you're going to be doing to help any American soccer fan out there to go, oh, I understand what this is about, and I want to subscribe, I want to be a part of that brand?
Well, you know, when people look at Borussia Dortmund, they probably know Christian Pulisic, they probably know Gio Reyna, they know Erling Haaland, but they don't really know what we're actually stand for. So they probably don't know much about our history, but we're almost bankrupt in 2009, 2010, I think it was. We had to come up with some more flexible, more creative ideas. So one very unique and one crucial point for us was, okay, we need to find a way how we can keep up with the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs in this world, but we do that with developing incredible, talented players on another level and to another level, so they can see, okay, Borussia Dortmund is a club where I will develop well and probably do my next step as a professional football player. And this image, this is the one we would like to develop here in the US, and that's why we, as one of the very first things we did in the US, we started our International Soccer Academy, which is headquartered in Dallas. Yeah. We have this grassroots approach where we would like to make soccer available for every single US soccer fan and kids, children here in the US, so they can see, hey, my dream of becoming a professional football player, that can become true.
Got it. Jürgen, your resume is insane when it comes to your experience of, you know, understanding the fans in the US, your role that you played with Miami, and now the role that you're playing with Everton. Talk a little bit about how Sport Pulse is you know, the important partner for someone like Everton in thinking about fans here in the US.
So thank you, first of all. As we opened the agency here, we found a partner in Everton Football Club that wanted to enter the US market in a little bit of a different way. You know, Everton is the people's club. They wanted to start connecting with all of the fans in the US in a very unique way. They wanted to understand the market first. One of the things that they asked us to do is to help them figure out where that fandom lied, correct? I mean, there's 52 official supporters groups that every Saturday or Sunday morning, actually tomorrow afternoon, are gonna get together at the pub somewhere in the United States to watch the EPL and watch Everton play. So we understood the market, we looked at the different variables of what can be done within the market. We have an unbelievable broadcast partner in NBC and the penetration of Peacock, so the amplification of our brand was there. Then we started to look at what the fan actually wanted. Any fan of any club around the world wants one thing: to feel that they are participating within the club, that their voice is being heard, and that they can show that they're a fan of the club. And that's easy when you are a couple of blocks away of a stadium in Barcelona or in Dortmund or in Munich. But it's really damn hard if you are in Kansas City and you support Everton Football Club. So how do we create experiences for all these fans that are hardcore and still learning to be an Evertonian, experiences where they can feel what it means to be the people's club? So we started at a grassroots level. Our focus is through fan engagement, bringing that ethos of Everton Football Club into each one of the different markets. Again, the amplification through NBC, don't get me wrong, and Peacock is an amazing step up for any other of our competitors. But bringing that experience closer to home, and we're about to launch a bar program in each one of the first of these 53 different cities where our supporters get together, for them to amplify, become that amplification. So for us, that was very, very important. Understanding the market, understanding the values, and understanding that in the United States, I can probably bet right now $50 that it's 1 out of 5 markets around the world where you ask any of us, who do you support? What is your club team? And the answer is not going to be the name of a club. It's going to be where? In Spain, of course, Barcelona. In England, of course, Everton Football Club. I'm not going to say Germany, but in Turkey, Galatasaray, correct? So you have an option in this market to be a fan of many different clubs. Why? Because that's just the nature of how we consume the sport in the United States. There's a stat that is staggering, that in 2012, there were over 37 different live leagues and tournaments and games that could be consumed, whether free TV, over the air, or at that point in time, there were no OTTs. The OTTs were not high in demand. So can you imagine the consumption level? You need to go back to the core of what connects that fan to be able to meaningful on their mind.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to come back to the streaming and the platforms in a little bit. But what I think about what's cool about this panel here is you all bring something unique to the table from your experience, but also the roles that you're playing. Carlos, you're really on the global development side, and you're thinking about the academy side of it from Barcelona. I'd love to hear just more about, you're all trying to create these brand connections. And I think you're talking about it from the place of play. Like, what does it mean to play for this club? I'd love to hear how those brand pillars that are so deeply rooted in the history of the club make it over here to the States, and how that applies to your academy.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for being here today. I think he said something really interesting, experience. You know? People really want to feel that they are part of us. And fortunately, Barcelona is, I mean, everyone knows it, no? And we want everyone to recognize what it means to be a Barcelona fan. And there is so many initiatives that we are launching from the club. No, it could be, you know, foundations, partnerships, of course, fan engagement, etc. But let's say from an academy standpoint, we are one of the assets more tangible. So basically, people can touch it, people can feel it. So actually, we have almost 40 academies around the globe. There is so many players participating in our activities, and what we are trying to create is, first of all, the best experience as possible in terms of sports development and education. So we really want to feel them that they are a Barca player. That's why we are very concerned about the structure, about the operations, about the branding, about, you know, whenever they are coming in, at the moment that they are stepping in one of our academies, we want them to feel Barca players. We are one of the clubs, European or not, that we are bringing a Barca guy, a Barca coach from Barcelona to overview the operations, to coaching them. And of course, not just the players, we are also creating a coaching experience. So basically, almost, well, actually more than 250 coaches, local ones here, Americans, are working with us, are playing with us, you know? And these guys from Barca are teaching them or sharing knowledge. And also at the same time, we are here since a long time ago, doing activities, camps, clinics, tournaments, etc. And we are learning. And every single season, we are trying to adapt a little bit ourselves, but not losing our strong identity, not losing what it means for a Barca guy, you know, to be a Barca fan. And thanks to the academy, at the same time, we are approaching this dream to the players. They really want to be Barca players, and one day having the dream to be in La Masia, you know, being there. We are creating this platform, and we are offering them a proper, let's say, pathway where they can develop themselves from a sports point of view and also education. This, again, Barca Academy is just one more initiative that Barcelona has here, and the US market is one of the key ones.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's interesting. I think youth development is a big topic right now in the United States. Of like, you see a lot of different academies popping up. You see some of the great stuff that, you know, Force Soccer Ventures are putting on, and how they can look at, you know, the urban communities and develop those or make it easier, more accessible to play. Is that something that Barca thinks about here in the States, of like how we make this game more accessible to develop those minds? Because we are, you know, we all played at some level at some point in our lives, and we think about those moments of playing and how that formed you as a person. Is that sort of a goal that you guys think about it?
I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm in front of you here in your place. No, but we really think that you have all the ingredients you know. And of course, I'm not telling you how to do things, but we believe in our way. We believe in how we are sharing our knowledge and playing. And we want people to know that, oh, this guy is a Barca guy, is a Barca player. It takes time. It's not an easy. I've been hearing a lot during these days here that everything is about development, everything is about grassroots, but it takes time. You know, we don't need to forget that they are kids, they are dreaming. We have to create the best platform as possible with the quality instead of quantity. And this is something that Barcelona has in mind, and we are working. Of course, we are going to be working, and we'll show and we'll prove that, you know, adding our, let's say, our flavor, it's going to be, you know, a big success for sure.
That's great. If you look at each one of the clubs up here, you guys are all streamed on different platforms, pretty much, right? Love to hear how being behind a paywall or, you know, being a part of a broadcaster, how are you working with them? What are the stress points? What are the success points? What are the highs and lows of that? Because, you know, as a fan, it's sometimes hard to find out where, depending upon what they're playing in, what that match might be, or time, or if they're home or away. Like, it could be a different broadcaster, it could be a different streamer. Love to hear how, Jürgen, maybe from your side of how you see that benefiting the club, and how that helps, or how that might make it more difficult to find.
Look, thank you. I think that question should be asked not only for partners in the media side, but also partners, the commercial partners at every single level. But let's start with the broadcast partners. Obviously, Everton Football Club being showcased on NBC and all of the platforms, NBC Sports, and now the transition into Peacock. I mean, we are over the air. If you look at all the stats from the last 5 years in the United States, and now the extension of that NBC deal, it shows that some of the games that we have been participating in the US are the top 10 most watched matches in the whole US, competing with the Liga MX, which obviously we know is the one that's mostly consumed in the United States, and even to the point of reaching levels of national team games for both the US and Mexico. So NBC as a partner has been an incredible force behind us, not only from an amplification point of view, but also from a fan engagement point of view. They set up every year 2 or 3 events in the United States, which is the NBC Live Morning Lives. We had one last October in LA, outside of the LA Coliseum, where fans started to gather at around 4 o'clock in the morning for 3 matches on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, this is an investment that, by my calculation, was around $3 million from a network, from a partner that is pushing the EPL. In addition, they are working with each one of the individual clubs to look for those stories that are the shoulder content that now they can use in this marketplace to push for the new product, which is Peacock. So that is one of the examples in our consideration that is a fantastic partnership. Not only the revenues that come from television money for the APL and for our club, Everton Football Club, but the partnership in helping us achieve that fan connection at the grassroots level. And I will remiss if I don't mention another partner which is not in the space of media, but Hummel, our kid partner. We've all dealt with Adidas, Nike, the big ones around the world. Hummel actually worked with Everton Football Club to provide a special edition kit last year to benefit and showcase the American fan. This is a shirt, and I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is the Stars and Stripes, a special edition, jersey that was tailored for American fans, limited edition. All the revenues of the proceeds went back into Everton and the community. So these are the types of partnerships that we, as Everton Football Club, are lucky to have, and that we are trying to expand in this marketplace. Even before we commercialize, our brand in the US, is how do we expand and amplify? Why? Because our goal is not 2026. It's actually the year after the World Cup, 2027. And I think every one of us behind the scenes discussed that. How do we build that critical mass between now with the accelerator of the FIFA World Cup to be able to serve our fan base better and our commercial partners in the US in 2027?
Yeah. And I think from a German and probably also Spain perspective is that, of course, it's a bigger disadvantage that La Liga and the German Bundesliga are behind the paywall on ESPN+, but on the flip side, we see a huge potential for tailor-made content. I mean, we all heard about the La Liga and ESPN partnership yesterday on the panel, But this is another huge opportunity for all clubs, and not only the likes of Barcelona, Dortmund, Bayern Munich, but to promote the Bundesliga itself ahead of the World Cup 2026, but also for the broader mass of US soccer fans. And that's what we would like to take advantage of. That is for sure after COVID, if we can say after COVID, to just shoot more individual content and to promote the Bundesliga itself here in the US via ESPN+.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pandemic put a bit of a slowdown, as with everything, on our work with ESPN+. We signed with them in 2020, and the plan was always to create all this extra content, find these nuggets, stories that Jürgen was talking about to really connect with fans. So now we are planning to kind of get together again and really kind of flesh out those stories and what they are. CBS is another great partner that we have, and we're talking to them about a lot of different initiatives and just pulling out parts of our history which aren't as well known. For example, during World War II, FC Bayern was known as the Jews Club because we had so many officials and players that were Jewish, and basically our then president, Kurt Landauer, was exiled. And instead of taking his visa and moving to New York to build a new life, he decided to move back to Munich to rebuild the club he loved after the war. And you know, that kind of that inclusivity, etc., runs through our DNA and our values today. So we want to tell more of those stories because we feel that fans resonate with values, especially in the US. People want to connect with brands that mean something and share the values that they do.
That's great. You know, this is a little bit more of an operational question because we're all aware of the impact that social media plays and the way that it engages the fans. How do you do that in a way where it's coming from the club, but it's being tailored to a new audience, maybe a more casual soccer audience? How are you thinking about that process? Like, are you starting new channels? Are you creating sort of, you know, a North American specific channel to actually have that direct conversation? How do you not mix up the messaging so you're not alienating your core audience, but you're then attracting sort of a new audience? Maybe you could talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, it's me. Okay. Well, I think we cannot avoid the issue that new generations are coming, and the way that they consume soccer, football, and other kinds of sports, it's going to be different. I mean, it's already different. So, and same thing, we are, you know, in so many countries, different regions, different cultures. Something that is being success in China is not going to work here. So we have to adapt a little bit again, no? Just in order to make or have higher percentage to be successful. But at the end of the day, from our point of view, is we are a football club, and of course we can sell whatever we want. But the most important for us is make sure that what is on the pitch, players competing, deserving, you know, again, people knowing our play style is what we are going to sell later. No, is what is going to create people excited and they want to consume whatever we are launching. So I think what happened on the green is really important, and then of course we have an amazing people, professionals, trying to see the future and see how we also can engage with people here in the US. As I said, we have so many tangible assets like the first team coming here and playing a friendly, you know, academies, foundations, etc. And the way that they are going to be consuming. This is also, you know, a key thing that we are already working, and you know. Just the latest news, like our partnership with Spotify, you know, is a different way to approach ourselves to them and you know, explore different, how to say, ways to make it different, basically. So, yeah.
So following that, it's sort of a tactical question. As you're putting these activations together, how are you getting to the local market? How are you actually getting, hey, meet us here at this time to go do X? How are you doing that?
So it's an evolution, correct? We started with a strategy that has the following pillars. We focus on fan development that starts with the hardcore fan, but also the casual fan. And that goes back to your $1 million question. You know, how do fans consume the sport? I guess everybody in this room will sit in front of the TV, hopefully a 70-inch TV like that one, and watch 90 minutes of football or soccer. Well, my kids don't, even if I force them to. They watch 15 seconds on their mobile device, and they watch not only the goal, but they watch their favorite player do a dance. And that's how they connect to our brand. So getting that fixed and bringing into your own digital system is the key for the long run as a club. The other pillars that we're faced on is actually the merchandise part. We want to make sure that our fans are able to get more merchandise in the United States. Why? I go back to the point that every fan around the world, the best way to show the love for the team is to actually put something on. Now, that in a way, for many of us, it's physical, but it's also digital. How do I empower my 10-year-old daughter who loved James at the time that he was with Everton to share that love and share that with digital assets? That's another area that you need to focus. The presence, preseason tours, but not only for the first team. We're working on preseason tours to the United States for the first team, for the youth teams, as well as the women's team for Everton. That's very important for us. In addition, the final pillars are academies and camps. We're a country of 330 million, where arguably 95 million of us have a connection to the game of soccer. And even with all the great work that Major League Soccer has done, and many of us in the club level, we cannot service that. There's so many kids playing the game that, in my point of view, and I'm a fisherman too, when the tide rises, all boats float. So the addition of these schools, and not only pay to play, there's many of them that through Everton to the community come to service for free. That's a very important point of view. In our country, pay to play has been the only model that existed. That was 10 years ago. Nowadays, that's evolving. So that's the way we want to be top of mind in each point of connection that our fan has in the world of football. Wherever they see football and they think United Kingdom, they think Everton. That's our approach and that's our goal. And give them the tools to show that love whenever that connection happens.
That's great.
And you know, when it comes to how can we approach to a more casual fan audience, I think, and if I talk from a Borussia Dortmund perspective, it's what do you think of Borussia Dortmund when it comes to our players? It's this incredible young talented players, the Gio Reyners, the Erling Haalands, the Sanchos, the Pulisics in this world. And if you think about them, it's just the joy of football and incredible talent. And if we can somehow transform this image onto all these different social media channels, if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, if it's Twitter, if it's whatever, I think then we did a good job. I think not every single fan, especially here in the US, they need to know about the history of every single club. They don't need to know about when Borussia Dortmund was founded, but they have to think about, hey, this is Borussia Dortmund, that's what they stand for, and this is a pretty cool club. And then something like what happened to me yesterday when we were sitting at dinner somewhere in Miami Beach, there was a guy crossing our table who had an Erling Haaland shirt on it. And I'm pretty sure that this guy didn't know about the history of Borussia Dortmund, but he knows, hey, Erling Haaland plays for BVB, which is a pretty cool club and a pretty cool player. And that would be, probably the best outcome for us here in the States.
That's great.
I think, just really quickly,
No, please, yeah.
It's important to address the star culture in the US as well. Oftentimes, Jürgen, you already mentioned that, you can have an English team, a German team, etc., and that's totally acceptable. But a lot of people here also follow players individually as well. So it's also about building the individual profiles of our players. So it's connecting with the Bleacher Reports, who we did a piece with Kingsley Coman about, scoring that winning goal in the Champions League final in 2020. So it's like, how can we build the profiles of our players, work with their agents who are also interested in this market, and really kind of push it out that way also.
Yeah, that was going to lead to my next question, which is, in this process of trying to stake the claim, trying to really think about who have been the partners that have helped you the most? Like the most important partner as you think about it, whether that's from the academy standpoint, whether that's from a content standpoint, for each one of your properties, which has been a key partner in helping you do that?
Well, for us, definitely the supporters groups are already organized. When I walked into our client to have 52 different supporters groups already incredibly well organized around the nation, willing and able just to get more instruction on how we can make and continue making this team bigger. That was one, which is one that we don't think too often, correct? When we think about partners, we think about NBC, we think about Hummel, we think about all of the other sponsors, which are incredible and amplifying those stories of the other partners, our fans. And look, before we spoke about how to engage with new generations and how to create content that it's meaningful to them, at the end of the day, we're football clubs, we're soccer clubs, correct? Wins and losses matter, that's our core. But I have always taken the philosophy that in my position as a consultant and as a person in business and commercial, I cannot be tied to those wins and losses, because then I stop doing our job for the brand. The brand needs to be ready, and I call it championship ready, that when the magic on the fields happen and they lift a lot of trophies, you can capitalize on that, correct? So it's for us, that's the approach with Everton, is how do we create that environment where every single fan is thinking about those top of mind, so that when the magic happens on the field, we're ready to seize that championship ready situation.
And Carlos, for you, what's been the partner that's helped you?
Well, I cannot add anything else different that Jürgen said, but of course, for Barcelona, it's also important, you know, the values. We have to feel comfortable with all the partners, you know, here or wherever we have partners who are helping us to empower our message, etc. From academy point of view, education, it's the key, for example. You know, we don't see the future of development without education. And in terms of competitions also, all the organizations that are running the tournaments, you know, the ones that are getting access to the players to be competing. And lastly, but not least, of course, the other clubs. We are not competing against each other. I think we have something to offer here.
Right.
And plus, you know, the clubs behind all the fans are, you know, are the keys. I think we can create something great. And again, we are not here to steal talent. We are not here to, you know, sending players back to Barcelona. Or no. We are going to be here for a long, long time. And most of them are going to be here in the US and helping, you know, the new generations to develop themselves in a proper way. And I think it's a mix of everyone.
Yeah.
Carlos hit the nail on the head in terms of us clubs working together. I know it sounds alien in Europe that you would work with your competitors, but here we have to get soccer to a certain level, and when it's there, we can all be competitive again. So it may surprise you that we're working together on the Classica coming up next month. And yeah, we're going to make a great activation, hopefully, and we'll work together on it. And but that would never happen in Germany because of the nature of our business back there. And then again, just to follow up on Jürgen's, our fans, we believe we have a fan-first mentality, and they are our brand ambassadors. They help us grow the brand. They tell the story better than anybody. And our strapline at the moment is we're the world's biggest sports family. We have the most club members, almost 300,000. We have over 4,500 fan clubs across the world. 150 of them are in the US. So for us, it's really kind of tapping into that, working with them to help grow our fan base.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much left to say for me. I agree with 100% of everything what you just said. But when it comes to the most important partner, I don't think that there is the most important partner. It depends on the perspective. When it comes to commercial partnerships, of course, one of the partnerships which helped us here in the US a lot was our partnership with BetMGM, because it gave us some kind of brand awareness we didn't have before. When it comes to more grassroots approach, we have a partnership with US Street Soccer just to make everyone able to play soccer and the sport we all love and we're all here for. And so I totally agree that our common goal here is to support the sport of soccer, and to increase the brand awareness of European soccer clubs.
Right. We're kind of getting close to the end here, so I wanted to love to hear sort of, we're coming out of COVID, people are getting back together, live events will start to happen, activations will start to pick up, which is super exciting. I think we're all excited for that. It's been a long 2 years. What would you want your headline to be for the activations and the movements that you make within the market? What would be success for you a year, 2 years from now? Jürgen?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
After the 6-pillar strategy, it's a success in every pillar. No, to be honest, I think it's to be able to consolidate the biggest database of fans that are connected to Everton at any level between now and the World Cup. That's what success looks like. And not to monetize it. Let me be very clear about this. What do you do with a season ticket holder? Inevitably, you monetize it because he's paying money to get into your stadium. But you get his information or her information to be able to service them better and to be able to then monetize a relationship with your partners because you know your fan better. I'm not gonna offer Dee here tequila if I know she likes red wine because I'm getting to know her better. That's the principle for us to be able to consolidate this data from all of our fans, regardless of the connection to the club. And between now and 2026, that's the goal, because then you can truly say that you are giving those fans, hopefully in the hundreds of thousands in the United States, the same opportunity to feel and cheer Everton Football Club the way you do at Goodison Park. So that for me would be success in all accounts.
Well, I'm not dribbling the question, but after this COVID, everyone's struggling. The club, also had a very difficult and tough period. We want to come back to be sustainable. Sustainable not just from a financial standpoint, sustainable in terms of the team, of the players, comfortable competing with us, not just the football, the soccer ones, the other sports that we are also running in the club. Of course, with new partnerships, same thing, activating, giving them what they put on us and giving them back their support during this tough period. And lastly, making the people very proud, Again, and I know that I'm repeating myself, but we are talking about passion. We are here because people love soccer, football, and they really love us. So we want them coming back to the stadium, of course, increasing the number of followers, blah, 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 adapting ourselves and knowing what they want, if they want tequila or red wine, et cetera, et cetera. But, we have this claim more than a club, no? And we have to represent it. And we want them to feel very proud to become and be a Barca fan.
Great.
The headline for FC Bayern, I wouldn't say let's look at a year, I'd say let's look at in 2027. The headline will be, this is how FC Bayern became the most relevant soccer club in the US, because we all saw what the '94 World Cup did for soccer in this country. So I'm so excited to see what the '26 World Cup will do and how we make it great.
My most favorite headline for 2023 would be Gio Reyna scores final and deciding goal for Borussia Dortmund's German championship. But no, besides that, I think from a long-term perspective, it's what I already said, that people should know about Borussia Dortmund and what we stand for and where we're coming from, actually. And it's not about all the young players which develop well at us. And Carlos already said it, it's about sustainability. So we're not here for the short term, we're here in the market for the long term. And people should know about the brand Borussia Dortmund even deeper.
Got it. Well, we are just about out of time here. I don't know, do we have any questions from the audience at all?
Looking at Joost de Wit from PSV Eindhoven, and looking at the biggest clubs in Europe, really nice. But I know that you want to have your brand global, but don't you think that you will push away like the new MLS brands by expanding your brand, because they want to be bigger in the future too? Or do you think you can do it together, or how do you look at that?
Can I take a stab at that one?
Go ahead. You tackle.
I think it's a great question. Oh, okay, fine. I'll back up.
Let me give you my point of view. Again, I go back to my example. This is the one country that I know around the world. If you go to Mexico, I was born and raised there, even with the German name, but you ask me, what team do you support? I'm going to say Pumas. That's it. There is no question in my mind. If you ask my 12-year-old daughter, what team do you support? Generally, she would say, where? In the United States, Inter Miami. Daddy helped build it. Okay, what about in Spain? She likes Real Madrid. Got a connection to the other coach.
So sorry.
So the fandom is there, and here it is okay to support an international club because the culture has been fed by global soccer before MLS was here. I've been lucky to be in 5 different Major League Soccer clubs. And the biggest mistake that we tried to do at the beginning is convert the international fan into Major League Soccer fan. No, that needed to come naturally through the field that grow. It's the same. The fandom can be multi-team as long as they're international. And the key point about this is we don't compete against any of these brands, including yours. We don't play in their Champions League. If FIFA one time down the line does the FIFA Club World Cup, and CONCACAF is here, maybe they can tell us, if that happens, then we will be competitors. But we don't. It's aspirational. And you can have your own experience at Inter Miami Stadium in front of 17,000 people, fans, screaming and shouting, your home crowd, and still be a fan of any of these brands that are up here, including yours. So that's my answer to you. I don't think we are taking away. We're adding to a country of 330 million potential fans.
And I don't think any of our clubs are as arrogant to say we don't need the MLS. The MLS is incredibly important, and there is definitely a way that we can work together, and the way we do work together. So at FC Bayern, we have an elite player development partnership with FC Dallas, which we signed in 2018. And since then, we've signed 2 players on loan, 1 permanently. We just transferred a player from our World Squad initiative to the MLS Next team. So there's definitely a way that we can work together.
Well, that's just about it. And unless there's any other questions? No? Well, listen, thank you so much. Loved having you guys up here. Love the insight, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.